Coming up on Mountain News at 6, we take a look at the life of legendary EKU football coach Roy Kidd. And the Appalachian Regional Commission's Appalachia Rising Conference wraps up, bringing the minds of the region together for a day of panels and discussions.
And you may need the jacket by Thursday and Friday morning as some 40s are possible across the region. Those details on the way as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Today, Corbin native and legendary former Eastern Kentucky University football coach Roy Kidd died at the age of 91. Many say that Coach Kidd lived a life of honor and integrity, and as WYMT's Olivia Calfee explains, he was a standout man both on and off the field.
He was a legend from the beginning.
I'll do it the right way, I'll do it with integrity, and I won't cheat, and I'll do the things the way it's supposed to be done, but I promise I'll win.
And that is exactly what the legendary Roy Kidd did. From an early age, the Corbin native was a star football, basketball, and baseball player at Corbin High School, leaving an impact on the community far beyond his high school years.
Our football stadium is on Roy Kidd Avenue, so it's a big name in Corbin. Everybody that's from Corbin knows who Roy Kidd is.
And the name Roy Kidd is not just known in Corbin. It travels up I-75 and beyond. Because in 1950, he took his skills to Richmond.
Was one of the top players in the state, went on to Eastern to play, and was a great player, played quarterback at Eastern. Just the history of Coach Kidd.
An All-American football player and a star on the baseball team until he graduated in 1953, returning to EKU just a few years later, where he became an assistant football coach before beginning his 39-year reign as head coach.
You know, he won 314 games as a college football coach. I think back to how many young men that Coach Kidd impacted and the lives that he changed as a football coach. To me, that's his legacy.
The legendary coach eventually took a step back from the sidelines and retired in 2002.
I love Eastern, I love our fans, and I thank you.
But Roy Kidd's legacy does not end with just being a standout player and coach. He loved his family, and he loved the Lord.
As a man, you know, a man of faith, you know, and it says that the absent from the body in the presence of the Lord, and I know where Coach Kidd's at.
91 years as a living legend, but leaving behind a legacy that will not soon be forgotten. In Corbin, Olivia Calfee, WYMT Mountain News.
Just to put in perspective how long Coach Kidd was the head coach, he was there the entire time my parents attended EKU and the entire time I attended EKU. During his tenure, the EKU football stadium was named Roy Kidd Stadium in his honor, and following retirement, the street in front of the stadium was renamed Roy and Sue Kidd Way, and a statue of the legendary coach is located in the north end zone. The university announced Kidd's funeral arrangements just a short time ago. His visitation will be this coming Sunday from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m., while his funeral will be on Monday at 11 a.m. Both will take place at the EKU Center for the Arts on campus. According to EKU's website, in lieu of flowers, the family asked that donations be made in his honor to the Roy and Sue Kidd Endowed Scholarship at Eastern Kentucky University. Of course, Roy Kidd left his mark on many folks at EKU and here in the mountains. Athletic Director and Vice President of the university, Matt Rohn, addressed the media earlier today. He talked about several things, from the advice Kidd gave him on how to run the athletics department to how hard Kidd was fighting for his life and how strong of a person he was. Rohn recalled his first interaction with Kidd back in 2013.
We used to have tailgates in our Moberly building. There was an auxiliary gym in that space, and so we would have president's tailgates in that space. And so That was the first time that I ever met Coach, and my first conversation actually with him was him standing side by side Miss Sue. And since that time, just great friends to my wife Mallory and I. Again, a mentor not just to Coach Wells, but to me in my role here, and certainly offered his ideas for how I could do it better, which I always appreciated, but just, again, first class all the way.
And we understand EKU's game will go on against Western Carolina at 6 p.m. on Saturday. The love for Coach Kidd is pouring in throughout social media, including from state leaders. Governor Andy Beshear weighed in on Facebook this morning, saying he will be remembered for his impact on the students he coached and supported, adding that he is praying with the Kidd and EKU families. Attorney General Daniel Cameron also posted on social media saying Kentucky lost one of its greats. He added, Kidd showed us the values of working hard and persevering on and off the field. Let's take a look at some of Roy Kidd's incredible accomplishments as head football coach at EKU. He coached the Colonels for nearly 40 seasons, leading them to 2 national titles in 1979 and 1982. He won 16 Ohio Valley Conference titles and was named OVC Coach of the Year 10 times. Kidd was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2003. His winning percentage was the best among FCS coaches, with at least 150 wins. We will have more about Coach Roy Kidd later in sports.
We are tracking some gloomy and soggy weather across the mountains into your Tuesday evening. Here's a live look at satellite and radar. You can see clouds do continue. Also watching out for a band of light showers as well from Paintsville and Johnson County to Salyersville and Magoffin County. Also close to Jackson and Breathitt County, and more light to moderate showers near Manchester and Clay County, not too far away from London and Laurel County. Also stretching into Wayne, Pulaski, and McCreary County as well. As we go into this evening, more showers are possible, all thanks to this cold front in front of this one, but behind this cold front, we are tracking some cooler and drier air to move back into the region. So 2 different cold fronts right now, but this one will bring some cooler and drier air by this time tomorrow. Right now, though, from Pikeville, from the Pikeville Medical Center, we are dry and under a cloudy sky. Those temperatures in the lower 70s out there right now for most of us. We're up to 73 in Manchester, 71 for Jackson, 72 here in Perry County as we go into this evening. Tonight, though, those lows falling into the middle 60 or upper 50s, lower 60s as you wake up on Wednesday. Watching out, though, for that fall air to move back into the region. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. We want to go to some breaking news now. The Lee County, Virginia Sheriff's Office has issued a shelter-in-place order for the Ewing and western area of Lee County. Again, this is Lee County, Virginia. The order was shared on the department's Facebook page just a short time ago. The order asked folks to stay indoors and to keep those doors locked. Now, according to the post, folks are asked to not approach strangers and contact 911 immediately if they are approached. WYMT was just able to confirm with the Sheriff's Office that this shelter-in-place order is related to some sort of manhunt in that area. Again, this is Lee County, Virginia, specifically the Ewing area, a shelter-in-place order. We're working to learn more, and of course we'll pass along more information as we get it here and on WYMT.com. A Laurel County man has been arrested after leading deputies on a chase. 22-year-old Lincoln Isaiah Hamblin was reportedly seen driving recklessly on a motorcycle going north on US 25 from the Hal Rogers Parkway intersection last Sunday. Hamblin continued going toward Old Richmond Road when a sheriff's deputy tried to stop him. Hamblin was eventually pulled over and is facing multiple charges. He was taken to the Laurel County Correctional Center. A Corbin woman was taken into custody after she was reportedly found with suspected meth and digital scales. The Laurel County Drug Interdiction Task Force arrested 40-year-old Margaret A. Sanderson Sunday morning about 12 miles south of London. Sanderson also had a district court complaint warrant against her. After conducting a traffic stop, deputies found a large amount of suspected meth and digital scales. Sanderson faces multiple charges. A Wayne County father is in custody charged with assault and criminal abuse. In a criminal complaint, investigators say Saeed Reyes brought his son to the hospital after reporting the child had fallen. The criminal complaint says the boy was taken to UK Children's Hospital with serious injuries. Doctors say the child had multiple skull fractures along with older injuries. Investigators claim a fall would not have caused those injuries. A Whitley County man was taken into custody yesterday. 61-year-old Raymond Lewis was arrested at his home on Millertown Road. The arrest stemmed from a warrant regarding a previous investigation by the Williamsburg Police Department months prior for fentanyl possession. Officers also found suspected heroin during Lewis's arrest. He was taken to the Whitley County Detention Center and is facing multiple charges. The leader of the Kentucky Supreme Court has announced he will not run for re-election next year. Chief Justice Lawrence Van Meter was elected to the position in 2016. His judicial career spans nearly 30 years in all 4 levels of the state's judicial system. And here's what Van Meter had to say following his announcement, quote, "I am announcing my decision now so that any qualified judges and lawyers can make the decision as to whether this office and consequent election campaign are appropriate for them. I am grateful and humbled by the trust of voters, my colleagues, and for the support of my family. I will honor the trust reposed on me by finishing this term dedicated fully to the judicial process for the people of Kentucky." No word yet on who might run to replace Van Meter. The Appalachian Regional Commission hosted its annual conference right here in the mountains this year. Today, focused on learning and sharing with workshops devoted to problem solving, economic development, and more. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has more on day 2 from Ashland.
And supporting their community, and that's what we filter for as well.
One conference, numerous communities.
Come up with solutions, share best practices, so that everyone has equal access across the board, and bringing these communities together and networking is just one way to do that.
The Appalachian Regional Commission gathered in Ashland Tuesday for the final conversations of a conference devoted to coming together.
Even though our communities have different assets and different resources, different institutions, we are dealing with some of those same larger trends, and it really creates fertile ground for us to learn from each other.
From breakout sessions highlighting ways to impact change, to the stage at the Paramount Arts Center spotlighting Appalachian talents like Tyler Childers and Silas House.
Silas is going to grace us with a reading from...
It doesn't matter which holler you live down or which big city or whatever you come from. If you have dreams, you can achieve them, and they just represent that hope and opportunity for the people of Appalachia.
Attendees say the conference is all about bringing not just the triumphs, but the trials to the table.
If you think our despair is thick, you ought to see our joy.
Celebrating resilience, strength, and transformation that is uniquely Appalachian.
Oh, actually, everybody being in the room together helps make sure people get what they need. It's a simple thing, but it had a big difference, and so that's something we all can learn from, and I think there's a lot of power in that.
A variety of visions with one mission and one commission. In Ashland, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
We'll have more on the final events of the conference coming up tonight at 11. We now know who the finalists are for president of the Kentucky Community and Technical College System. The 3 finalists are Dr. Dean McCurdy, Provost and Senior VP for Academic Affairs at Ivy Tech Community College in Indiana, Dr. Beverly Walker Griffia, President of Mott Community College in Flint, Michigan, and finally, a name you've probably heard before, Dr. Ryan Quarles, who is, of course, the state's Agriculture Commissioner and former candidate for governor. The candidate selected is expected to begin no later than January 1st. The KDE is getting ready to host the 2024 Kentucky Teacher of the Year ceremony, and we do have one teacher in our area vying for that honor. Winners of the elementary, middle, and high school teacher awards, along with the overall 2024 Kentucky Teacher of the Year, will be announced. The event is tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. at the state capitol in Frankfort. Hazard Independent's Luke Glazer will look to try to bring home the honor for Eastern Kentucky.
Well, some cooler and drier air is on the way for the rest of the work week. Those details coming up after this break.